What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Rooted and Relentless, specifically our very special series introducing you to members of the Clarity Coven. I can't wait to introduce you to today's guests. By the way, the Clarity Coven, if this is your first time listening, is the founding 10 members of the sister to this podcast, the Rooted and Relentless Mastermind. Today, I'm hanging out with Alisha Bean, who is extra super special. Everyone's special, but we have been hanging since before the mastermind. She's been my client for over a year now and joined the mastermind to expand and hang out with others doing the same thing and then just grow even further. So I'm super excited to have Alisha. She is the go-to for streamlining systems, optimizing the back end, and leading growing teams in conjunction with business owners that she supports, and is famously known for bringing calm, intuitive structure to fast-growing businesses, which we love. So founders can really step out of the weeds and into the freedom that they started their businesses to have to start with. When she's not back and ninjaing it, she has the pleasure of hanging out and chasing her two kids and reading fantasy novels, which, shocker, we have in common. That's not going to shock anyone who's ever been here before. Alisha, I've had the pleasure of watching you leave your 9-to-5, hire your own team member, test marketing, and now grow your offer suite beyond your baseline retainer offer. So I just so excited to chat with you today. But you're here, so I can quit talking about you. Why don't you jump in, tell us a little bit more about you, who you help, and what kind of work lights you up?
It has been quite a journey this last year. I help women business owners, women entrepreneurs who want to truly take that step into their CEO role. And they have some systems that they've set in place or processes or tools that they've kind of duct taped together. And now they're like, where do I go from here? It's not working for me anymore. And I come in and I find out where exactly we're leaking from and fix those, not just patch the holes, but actually like make the system so it flows for them.
I like the analogy there of leaks and all the systems. Things that we've already mentioned, growing fast, fixing the leaks, they're the result of something positive. Like you're growing, and typically what I've seen, I know you've seen because you support these people, when the fast hits, there's only so much you can do. And what happens is we find a cool system to solve this problem, right? And we find a cool system to help us do that. And then and before we know it, there's like 15, and that's where the leaks come from, is they break somewhere along the way, or you're paying too much, which is a shame because there's other things you could do that money on and on and on. So, I mean, I intimately know what you're describing as far as leaks specifically. And like your goal isn't to come in and patch it because they've been patching it, right?
Slapping that duct tape on that leaking pipe isn't working anymore. So then I come in and go, okay, what is actually needed? What do we need to do? What do we need this business to do in the back end? Like, what is A, what is B, and how do we get to Z? And what does that look like for you without adding extra energy from you?
Yeah, because by the time they hire you, by the time they have hired us, they're like 2 years late, typically is what I find. And I tell people that they're hiring. Now I help people hire all the time. And I'm like, yeah, well, we know you should have done that 2 years ago, but this is what we're going to do about it now. As long as you're aware of that and you have that patience in the beginning, because we're coming in and we're trying to untangle this spaghetti noodle of a mess that's all working together somehow in a way. I'm really curious, like your take on when people come to you and they're in this kind of state of it's working, but it's not anymore. It was for a while, essentially. And they probably don't know that, I would assume, like the real root of the problem, that they're feeling that pain. What is that pain when they come to you? What is the issues?
Usually the first thing that they come to me with, or that they, in their mind, is the issue is either a communications issue, or they feel like business was running really smoothly and now for some reason it's hard, or why different processes or systems are not working the way they think they should. That's initially why they come to me. But after we talk and I get into the back end of their business and really boil it down, then it can either be communication with their teammates. People on your team can't read your mind, or the tools that they have, like we said, are duct taped together. And when we were growing, they worked great because they talked to each other for that volume. But now we're scaling, and that doesn't work anymore. So we have to find something that will work. So then that's systems and tools, or it's just your processes in general, that you had 20 steps to do something that could be done in 5. We just need to narrow that down.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about that for a second. I'm jotting down some notes to talk about several things. When you're talking about like 20 steps, and it could be done in like 5 or so. The danger in that I'm curious if you agree, and like what people are like, okay, but there's a way to do it. And like, here's all the things and it's been working fine. But you also mentioned scaling, which means it isn't working fine. That's where your pain is coming from, not yours. So obviously that's where the pain is coming from, because you are trying to scale and do more of it and grow more, make more revenue, whatever. And you've hired a team and you think that's supposed to be the magical answer. And it will be if you communicate well. And you'll need less of that communication. So you'll be less of a bottleneck if you take your 20 steps that require 10 inputs from you or approvals from you and narrow it down to 5 that you already pre-approved or whatever the case is, and make it really easy. I'm so glad you brought that up, because that is scaling, and that's how you actually scale. A lot of people get confused between growth and scaling, and those are two different things, which you intimately understand, right? You can grow, you can burn the heck out. Scaling is the way that you do that and you make more revenue or do what you're already doing more efficiently, and your systems or processes are how you do that. Yeah,
And
I
a
love
lot
it.
of times it's women, we've been told this entire time that we have to do it all. We have to touch everything. And when you start business, yeah, you have to do it all. You're everybody. But then as you get to that point of scaling and you get to take a step back and you're allowed to say, I don't like doing Y and Z of my business. And that's the stuff that you can outsource. Then that's when you need to say, the 20 steps that it took me to get this result for that piece that I hate doing anyway, we can do it in 5. This one person is going to do it. And here's the pre-approvals that we already have, like you said. Or we bring in an online business manager like myself to be that buffer that can approve things that are nuanced.
Make it happen. Yeah. So like you have an executor, right? And you can help, which is where a lot of the relief comes, depending on the level of frazzled that someone really is, I think, a business owner when they come to you. And we already mentioned they're 2 years behind on delegating. Hiring someone to execute is great, but you're still going to have to lead those people, and that's still going to take time from you. And I see a lot of frustration come out of this. People hire a VA or someone to come in and just like take those tasks off, like a content manager or something like that for marketing, but not like the strategist component. You don't get that thought partnership, and they think that like they're going to hand this all over and then it's going to be magic. First off, it's not magic. It takes time to learn each other and log into systems and all of that. But if they're just an executor and they're not that thought partner and that have that like strategic component, then you are still going to play a bigger role. So set your expectations accordingly. And what you're describing sounds like the role that you play is really both of those, because you're executing as well. But you can hear their need, their pain. You already mentioned that. They're coming to you with what they think is one thing, and it's really their pain points. Like, this is what hurts and this is the problem, and I need you to fix it. And you're like, okay, cool. But then you guys get in there and you're like, here are the other problems. Here's actually the root cause, and you're seeing the symptoms. So you're experiencing the symptoms, but here's the root cause. I love that you start there. I think that's really one of your superpowers, and how anyone in this kind of relationship should be starting it with like level setting. Here's what I heard from you, and here's the priorities, and getting their buy-in. And then, you go execute. By the way, business owners, that's one of the ways you step out and let someone else do it, is you don't lose awareness of what's happening. You are aware. You're just not doing it, and they'll come to you if they need to, and you start to build that trust. Is that what you see with your relationships with clients?
Absolutely. Yeah. We'll start working together, and then we'll hit that sweet spot where it's like, how much control, am I giving up? And a conversation that I always have with my clients is that I'm very transparent. And I think we need to be in this space is, we're transparent, and this is your business. At the end of the day, you make the call. But I'm here to help you see some of those back end pieces, or like we're talking about the leaks, that you saw the leaky faucet, but you maybe didn't see below the floorboards that the pipe is still leaking. So, I'm there to be like, okay, yes, we have a problem, but it actually stems farther downstream.
Yeah, we're not here for temporary fixes or duct tape. You've already been doing that for, again, the 2 years you could have hired someone. I keep saying that like it's that easy. I know it's not, because there's revenue reasons and stuff. So I'm like, I'm not mad at anyone for that. I want the awareness to start. And I'll be talking about that a lot this year too, because I'm tired of this assumption that someone's going to come in again and magically fix it all. We are. That the unicorns of the space, the people that are unique and bomb diggity and figure it out and have the expertise to do everything that you just mentioned, but setting expectations realistically and understanding that that list is actually going to grow. But that's not a bad thing, because then you're actually working from that clarity everyone likes to talk about. You have actual pinpoint solutions to actual pinpointed problems from someone who can see it, because first, you're not going to slow down the time, and it's just not your zone of genius. Like, you're not going to take the time to figure all of that out.
You want to spend more time with your clients. You want to do all these things to increase your revenue. But in order to do that, you do have to let go and step out of certain areas, because you only have a finite amount of time.
And it's keeping the goal in mind. Like, what is the goal of all this? Because that's where it gets messy, and you end up hurting what you were actually trying to help to start with. So like, that, right? Better team communication for better client delivery or something like that. They're both suffering now because that's not actually where you started. Now you're years into like systems that were working and now they're padded and now they're like elbowing against each other and you're delegating for the first time and you have new business coming in and it's overwhelming. And when you come in, Alisha, and I'm not just fixing what you told me, I'm
Yeah.
actually thinking about what you're trying to achieve. What is it you're trying to
Mhm.
achieve? And then we want everything to ladder up to that and support it because that's how this happens. And again, that's what it enables scaling. So if that is their goal, if that's what they're trying to achieve, and they're giving you the pressure points or the pain or what hurts. And you're coming in, I hear you. What are you even trying to do here? Like, what is the
Yeah.
business that you're growing and who is it for? You're taking the pain with that. And if they're in that scaling component, like, I'm trying to grow, but I'm losing my mind. I'm burning out. I'm now working 60 hours a week again. Like, that's not what this was for. And we're missing due dates and we're missing what we promised clients. You come in and figure out the root cause
Yeah.
and solution that. How receptive are your clients to that? Like when you think about the past 6 months to a year, fave clients, no naming here, but we always have favorite clients to like honor our boundaries and pay their bills and like do what we advise them to do.
Yeah.
So when you think about them, how pumped are they actually when you come with, said laundry list, but you're like, the good news is on the other side of that. When you start actioning what they didn't even know was a problem, what is their kind of response? How are they feeling?
Usually that first month, 2 months, when they actually have seen the change and they've started to feel it, I'll physically see them take a big breath and just release
Yeah.
it because a lot of business owners don't realize that they're just holding that internally because they're stressed about it. And like I said, then
Yeah.
it's everything. So to actually feel relief that your business is okay, that you didn't do anything wrong intentionally, but now it's on the path to your dream, it's great. And then usually after that, okay, since we've fixed this that I thought was a problem, and you also told me about this that is a problem, and we fixed that, that's all great. Here, take a look at this other piece of my business, or, how can you take on more so I can focus on what I truly love doing?
Yeah, and that's huge. Like a
Yeah.
lot of people, especially delegating for the first time or at like this level for the first time, it's more of a scarcity. It's like, I don't have a lot of money and I just need this fixed. And like, here's the most I can pay. We've worked through that a lot of the times.
Mhm.
The moment that sigh of relief comes, we've talked about this and it's crazy cool to me that like you can see it when you guys check in and you have those reflection points. But the moment that comes, they realize the power in what you do and someone asking you, okay, yeah, now I want to do all the other things you said and let's double your retainer, double what I'm paying you because the belief is there. That's not light stuff. That's awesome. I'm curious if you reflect over, we've talked about like the past several months, 3 months, 6 months, a year, whatever. What part of your identity or energy would you say is expanded or changed?
I would say, yeah, I reflected over, the last few months, even the last year. And for me, think of it like when you're a little girl and you're trying on your mom's shoes and they're too big, but you're like, yeah, I can be here someday. So when you're an entrepreneur and especially a woman who jumps out and does this business on your own and you have all those questions of like, is it going to work? What's going to happen? Am I doing this right? Am I getting to where I need to be? And now the concept is proven. Like I'm successful. People like what I do. Now just owning that confidence and accepting the compliments when they come instead of just be like, yeah, but now it's
Yeah.
instead of being a little girl in the big shoes, it's the mom being in
Choose.
the shoes.
And they fit and you knew they were yours all along.
Yeah.
I would say. Self-trust is what it sounds like. You trust yourself now and you're overcoming naturally the fear that comes with starting an entrepreneurship. You've been in business nearly 2 years now?
In July, it'll be 2 years.
Gosh, that's wild. So a year and a half. Oh my God, you've accomplished so much, Alisha. That's insane. I mean, I knew that, but I was like, surely like two. Like we're about to butt over two. That's wild. So when you start out, that's all natural. You're testing a new concept. You're terrified because you need money. What you're describing now is like you trust that. It's proven. You just described a case where it's so proven that they're like, all right, let's double the amount of hours and make this happen. So you can now move with your own breath of fresh air and confident that you do affect change and you do bring power to the back end of people's business. Sounds like you know that now and you're trusting that and walking in that confidence.
Yeah, for me, it
Yeah.
was like, no, I knew that I could do it. I could do what I was saying I could do. It was getting other people, getting in front of the right people that
Yeah.
also believed that I could do what I could do. And now it's like, yeah.
Well, and when you prove it to yourself, you show up differently. That fear, a lot of people don't understand this in like their marketing. I was actually thinking about it when you were describing some of your clients as like breath of fresh air because they don't realize that they're actually holding it all in and it's stressful. You have lost your marbles if you don't think that that comes through in your marketing when you're talking to potential clients that you already have. They know it, they feel it. So the same is true like when you're starting out and you're terrified. You can fake a certain level of confidence, but sometimes that like slips through. Just messaging and copy, say on social media, can come through as wishes and hopes that someone will just look at you versus you don't need wishes and hopes anymore. You just need to tell the story of what you're already doing and they'll see it. And that shows up differently because of your confidence to do so. I'm obsessed with that. So obviously we know a lot of people that run businesses. I'm curious if there's one piece of advice, only one, because we could do this for hours, I'm sure, but one piece of advice you could give someone else building a service-based business right now, what would it be?
That there are phases and it's okay to be in different phases at different times. That if you're in a growth phase and you're like, I can't afford outside help right now, but there are still things or avenues to take that you can still get help or look at your business in a different way. And if you move into scaling, then that looks differently for you. And it's not saying that you did anything wrong. You're not failing at your business because one thing didn't work out the way that you wanted it to. I say just learn from the road bumps and keep going.
I think that this is more important than ever because of the comparisonitis that happens thanks to social media, thanks to so many people growing businesses online like we are and using those as marketing tools. It is so easy because we see people literally all day, every day that are doing all these wonderful things. They're hiring their third team member. They're going to all these events. They're getting features. They're making multiple six figures, whatever the thing is that feels so far out of reach. It's not. The difference is that they're doing it longer than you. They're sticking it out. So stick with it. Surround yourself, if you can't do this alone, with people who will help you when that part gets hard, when the comparisonitis is taking over and it causes self-doubt to creep in. That can remind you of exactly what you just said, Alisha. Listen to this episode again and listen to Alisha just say that. More importantly, you could go find her. Alisha, as we do close out, thank you for coming on here. Thanks for letting the people hear what you have to say because your experience leading up to starting your business, we mentioned you've been in business 1.5 years. That's not to be taken lightly because you have tons of experience that you took from roles before into this. So people that want to learn from you, hang with you, hear from you, or just need that encouragement, tell them where they can do that.
I'm on Instagram at Alisha.Bean.obm or LinkedIn. Yeah, just send me a DM.
Oh, okay. I'll drop that in the show notes too, so then it's easier if you can't go search the handle Alisha.Bean.obm, but I'll also drop that in the show notes so that you guys can keep up with her and check in as needed. Thank you so much for coming on the Rooted and Relentless podcast, Alisha.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Well, that's a wrap on this episode of Rooted and Relentless. If it made you laugh, not alone, or grab that cute little notebook of yours and scribble something down, please hit me with the SSR, subscribe, share, and review, as in leave a review. Thanks for hanging. Bye.